On the next episode of Seinfeld.
You know, men can sit through the most pointless, boring movie if there's even the slightest possibility that a woman will take her top off.
So what's your point?
Tomorrow at 7:30 on Fox Philadelphia. Traffic and weather together every 15 minutes. Tomorrow morning at 7 on Fox Philadelphia. And now, Philadelphia's only primetime news hour, honored by the Associated Press as the best newscast in Pennsylvania, the Fox 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, I'm Jill Chernikoff.
And I'm Rich Noonan. Here's what's happening tonight. No survivors. That was the grim report from the first witness on the scene of a commuter plane crash near Detroit. All 29 people on board the Comair turboprop were killed when the plane went nose first into a field during a snowstorm this evening. Flight 3272 was en route from Cincinnati and was just 18 miles away from landing at the Detroit airport. Witnesses describe a loud boom and then a fireball.
I just seen a big mushroom cloud go up in the air, big ball of fire shoot up about 200 feet in the air, and then I ran. My brother was looking out the window at the fire. It shook the house, and he came to the door and asked me what happened. I told him my plane had crashed. There's just parts scattered. I mean, there was a wing flap probably about 200-300 yards away from where the actual accident was. There's nothing left.
Comair says 26 passengers and 3 crew members were on board Flight 3272. The pilot gave no indication of trouble as he prepared to land. The National Transportation Safety Board is sending a team to investigate. We'll have further details as they become available.
And our other top story tonight, our first winter storm of '97 covered much of our region with a light blanket of snow and freezing rain. It's now causing icy roadways and poor driving conditions throughout most of the Philadelphia region. The good news is things are looking better for the morning rush hour. Frank is outside with a look at today's blast. Frank?
Jill, the good news is all the watches, advisories, and warnings have expired for metropolitan Philadelphia. We're actually getting liquid rain here in the city. Temperatures are on the rise. It's all good news for the morning rush hour. I think with just a few problems, some icy side roads, the rest of the rush hour should go on without a hitch. Let's take a look at how things looked earlier today. Around 11 o'clock, the snow started to fall in earnest around Center City here, but by 2 o'clock this afternoon, it had changed to a sleet and freezing rain mixture, and that continued all the way through the evening rush hour. That caused most of our travel problems earlier this evening, but temperatures are warming up, and the precipitation is starting to dry out. Let's take a look at Fox Doppler radar. You'll notice most of that precipitation now moving up to the northeast. Still some freezing rain and rain showers scattered around the area. I think they'll only be with us for another 3 to 4 hours. We'll dry out. Now we get the second punch of this 1-2 punch of the winter storm. It looks like some much colder air is going to be moving into Philadelphia as we head into the weekend, and I'll have more on that in the 5-day forecast coming up just a little bit later on, Rich.
All right, Frank, thanks. The big fear from this storm is that icy roads would cause a travel nightmare for the afternoon rush hour. That didn't happen, but there were some problems. Jesse Gary joins us now live in Center City with that story. Jesse?
Rich, conditions have cleared and improved since snow earlier today. As Frank mentioned, we talked a little bit about the temperature and what that's doing to conditions. Let me show you something and the problems you may face when you go out tonight. Standing on this overpass, you can see this is snow from earlier today. The chilly temperatures tonight, even though they're on the rise, have turned the snow into a thin layer of ice. You can see I have to really dig in to get it off the bridge. It's this kind of thing that really put a slowdown to this evening's commute.
As dusk turns to darkness, rush hour grinds to a halt in some places. Freezing temperatures, falling precipitation make getting around via icy streets the most eventful part of the day.
They're slippery. There's little fender benders here and there. There was a jackknife tractor trailer on 95.
The only thing I was concerned about is I'm a new mom, and I wanted to get home to be with my baby.
Although many commuters say the storm and slippery streets aren't that bad, PennDOT crews were prepared. 400 trucks in the 5-county area have been out spreading salt. Philadelphia County Coordinator Rick Martino.
And our trucks have been nonstop since 12 o'clock this afternoon, and we're going to go through at least till 10 o'clock.
500 tons of salt are on area streets. The department has another 80,000 tons stored for future storms. At Philadelphia International Airport, crowded counters are deceptive. Sand and salt are spread here too, but keeping the aircraft free of ice is time-consuming, according to spokesman Mark Pesch.
Had about 30-minute delays on some departures due to de-icing procedures by the airlines.
The delays are minimal by airline standards. After the initial shock of slippery surface conditions, drivers seem to have adjusted to the weather as well.
PennDOT was spraying liquid magnesium chloride a little bit earlier, actually last night, as kind of a preemptive strike against icing. It's a compound that forms a barrier between the roadway and the ice, so the ice won't stick to the ground. However, they stopped and they decided to go with salt because they feared when the snow turned to rain, it would wash away the compound. They say it works very well, but they didn't use it in this case. But obviously later in the winter, when needed, they will try it. We're live above the Schuylkill in Center City. Jesse Gary, the Fox 10 o'clock news. Back to you.
All right, Jess, thanks. This little fast-moving storm is a kind of a warning shot from Mother Nature. This morning, when it all began, it was a nasty reminder of last year and caused its share of problems.
As often happens with winter storms, Delaware feels it first. I-95 in Newark kept right on rolling this afternoon with no major problems despite some heavy snowfall. DelDOT crews had the salt trucks out early and often. But some of the city streets in Wilmington caused some headaches before the changeover to rain. Early afternoon in South Jersey saw a steady snowfall, but all the major roadways remain open and for the most part moving well. The big trouble spot for most of the early afternoon was I-95 near the airport. A tractor-trailer traveling northbound hit a patch of ice and jackknifed. One of the rig's fuel tanks ruptured, spilling diesel fuel and forcing police to shut down part of 95 for about 2 hours. Those stuck in traffic probably weren't thinking about how pretty a snowstorm can be. That city statue we pass each day is worthy of another look amid the frosty flakes. Ferocious this storm was not, but memories of how nasty Mother Nature's bite can be were jogged a bit today.
I had my fill from last year. I prefer not to have the snow, but it's nice for a change of pace.
And last year by this time in the winter, we'd already had more than 2.5 feet of snow by now, so it could be much worse.
Indeed. Fortunately, there were no injuries after a gas leak near Villanova University today. Police say a private contracting crew was leaving a job at County Line and Spring Mill Roads when their truck accidentally knocked down power lines and utility poles. One pole hit a gas main, causing it to rupture. The law school and 2 other buildings had to be evacuated. 1,600 customers were left without electricity and several hundred without phone service.
It was a wild shootout this morning between a Chester police officer and a suspected drug dealer. Police say Officer Robert Archacki was shot in the leg when the man he was chasing on East 11th Street turned and opened fire with a .45 caliber pistol. The officer returned fire, hitting 22-year-old Dwayne Michael Jordan in the chest. He's in critical condition at Crozier. Officer Archacki is in stable condition. Jordan is charged with attempted murder of a police officer.
More cases are being thrown out because of corrupt Philadelphia cops. Officers Kevin Daniels and Derek Mays would stop people on the street, steal their money, and then plant drugs on them. Daniels and Mays were convicted of corruption 2 years ago. A total of 12 defendants will be off the hook tomorrow. Hundreds more could go free before this corruption investigation is over.
9 correctional officers from Delaware County face charges of beating inmates. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 4 inmates were beaten, kicked, and punched at the Delaware County Prison in 1994. All of the inmates were handcuffed at the time of the alleged attacks. Several of the correctional officers still work at the prison. If convicted, they could face 30 years on the other side of the bars.
A North Philadelphia mother accused of selling her 2-year-old child to buy crack cocaine has been sentenced to 2.5 to 7 years in prison. 31-year-old Tina Vanderhorst was convicted of endangering the welfare of a child and child selling. Vanderhorst told police she sold the child for $500. A search for the boy turned up nothing. Vanderhorst had 3 other children whom she claimed all died from sudden infant death syndrome. Reputed Philadelphia mob underboss Joey Merlino has taken his act on the road. Organized crime investigators tell Fox News they believe Merlino is now branching out, expanding his base of organized crime activity beyond South Philadelphia. Dave Schratweiser has an exclusive report on Merlino's move up in the mob.
Good. I'm going to Disney World.
In the 2 months since his parole ended, Joey Merlino has hardly been on a vacation. Authorities now say the reputed mob underboss has been a man on the move, making plans and winning friends in mob circles outside Philadelphia.
They said the Yankees couldn't win either.
He's going to be somebody that they're going to be listening to, evident of his actions when he meets with them. The kiss on the cheek, the show of respect.
Investigators say Merlino has begun to expand his area of influence. He's been spotted in recent weeks in North Jersey, meeting with members of New York's Lucchese and Bonanno crime families, who control the gambling and loan sharking operations in North Jersey. Experts believe there's a mob consolidation.
He's rusted nuts and loosed it with one twist.
And remember, when you buy from Sears, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So don't wait. Call now to order your Craftsman Auto Lock pliers.
Have your Sears card or other credit card ready and call 1-800-705-4488. That's 1-800-705-4488. Or send your check or money order for only $19.99 plus shipping and handling to the address on your screen. Call right now.
And on WeatherScope, the snow and wind still continue in the north and east. We'll have live coverage throughout the night and early tomorrow morning for your commute on WeatherScope after your local forecast.